which is all about Elijah Wood talking about theatres and experiencing things in theatres. AMC theatres, who I believe are connected to Cineworld over here. So I'm looking forward to this coming to a town near me. I've introduced a new tiered ticketing system, if I can say it. And it seems to have rubbed Elijah Wood up the wrong way. He's had a couple of stern words on social media for the aforementioned AMC. Controversial ticketing prices. He thinks it's locking out the average man in the street and creating a sort of disparity between the have-nots and the haves. If that's even the right terminology, I don't fucking know at this stage. I'm losing my mind already. As you can see, they've used an image of him from 20 years ago because Elijah has not done any movies since The Lord of the Rings. Clearly, he's not had a career outside of that. Let's just superimpose Frodo Baggins next to AMC. I'm sure Elijah will be all for that. We'll get to what Elijah's had to say in a moment. Actor Elijah Wood recently slammed AMC theatres for the company's decision to adjust their ticket prices as part of their Sightline initiative. The theatre chain intends to increase the cost of seats in certain regions of the theatre. Divided into three options, the desired seating at the centre of the theatre will be dubbed Preferred Sightline and will see a higher price than the rest of the theatre's standard Sightline seats. However, the front row and ADA seats, called Value Sightlines, will receive a discount. Now, this is a storm in a teacup for me because we have a theatre chain over here already, View, in the United Kingdom, who they don't utilise the discounted front row seats, but there is a slight premium for the middle seats, a VIP section, leather, sort of reclining chairs, more comfortable, more legroom. They're like £2, £3 dearer, which is about $4 more, something like that, for the middle sort of 4 or 5 rows. Everywhere else is slightly cheaper. It's fucking nothing, man. Realistically, you're not really getting a much worse experience in the theatre by choosing to sit out with that region. But if you want an extra bit of luxury, a little bit more comfort over the course of 2-3 hours, whatever it is, you can pay that added little premium and watch the movie. Now, I'm not entirely sure of how the pricing is in this situation. I'm just reading the sort of reaction of Elijah Wood, and I thought I'll put that in because that's interesting. If it is demonstrable differences, it's like $10 of a difference, and they are effectively pricing families and lower income individuals out of sitting in the best regions in a theatre. That is a different thing entirely. Over here though, not really a problem, and I do tend to, if I go to View, pay for the VIP seat because it's fucking so much more comfortable. And what is £2? Have you seen the cost of popcorn and drinks out of these places? You are literally £20 fucking pounds every time you go to a theatre to watch a movie. You well spend an extra £2 and getting the leather seat. This is what Wood had to say. He took to social media and he says this: the movie theatre is and always has been a sacred democratic space for all. And this new initiative, unless you go to IMAX, in which case it's not democratic, not the IMAX we have now, the proper IMAX, but the old school IMAX we had, you fucking had to rock up 50 minutes before a movie to get a good seat because all these bitches were grabbing the best seats. There was nothing democratic about that. It was sheer tyranny. It was like fucking Taliban rule meets IMAX. It was literal fucking blood and snorters, people getting knocked out for seats in the middle of these theatres. There was nothing democratic about it. That has been addressed now. We have selected seating, and I'm glad. And that is the way forward. He continued, he had this to say: would essentially penalise people for lower income and reward for higher income. Well, I mean, that's life, Elijah, sadly. That is the world we live in, my friend. That is a capitalist world. Unless you and like-minded individuals, and fuck those, I'm probably one of them, wants to tear down the whole capitalistic sort of structure of the world, the Western world certainly, and replace it with something a little bit more balanced and fair, then you're just going to have to live with that, mate. People who earn more money, who have more sort of financial power, they tend to get the better things in life. It's just the way it fucking is. Those who have less have to make do with having the shitter end of a stick. That is life. That's been life for as long as I've been alive, as long as my parents have been alive, as long as my grandparents have been alive. Fuck no, it's probably my great-great-great-grandparents, I would imagine, experienced the same thing. I don't know if it is an attack on the lower incomes. I'd like to see if they actually do break down the sort of differential in ticketing prices. I would like to see where they actually outline the prices, because in AMC's defence, this is a company that was billions in debt during the COVID pandemic, were ready to shut down at one point, and potentially thousands of jobs going with it. They have to protect their bottom line. They have to think in a sort of unique and sort of, I don't know, experimental way to try and earn back some of that money it was lost. And if it means changing pricing points for different parts of the theatre, so fucking be it. If that means that the actual company survives, then you're just going to have to, if you can't afford it, just sit in another part of the theatre. I don't know, man. Is it that much of an issue? I don't know. I can't even see the difference in ticketing. And I'm going to start coughing now. To me, it's a storm in a teacup. I can understand, and I fully appreciate Elijah Wood's sort of viewpoint, his argument, and his desire to stand up for those who have less. Certainly one that I echo, and it's a cause that I would fight for as well, Elijah. But sadly, when you are a sort of a company, an exhibitor in the midst of some tumultuous times, tumultuous waters, it's had to sort of survive through a pandemic when no one was going to the theatres, or very little people were going. Sometimes you're going to have to bite the bullet and make unpopular decisions, and in this case they have done that, and time will tell whether it impacts their bottom line. People go to another theatre, exhibitor, to go and watch movies. Ultimately, if you're not happy, you vote with your wallet. You don't spend the money, and then you force them to make changes. And that's what will happen, I'm sure.